kid coming up bad. Flow was on tap, wrote enough drafts, know enough raps off the head skill, little crush cats. But it's hard to spit without coming.
Yeah, I didn't grow up like trying to be a musician or anything. Like I was at university, and in my last year I was part-time, and that's when P Money hit me up to be on the Not Many remix. And I think at that point I'd only been rapping for maybe 10 months. I'd recorded probably 3 or 4 songs in my bedroom. I'd never been in a studio or any of that. And then he's like, hey, jump on this remix. And then it was really that, like it was, you know, my biggest ambition up until that point, like when I first started writing songs, my biggest ambition was it would be cool to get played on student radio once. That was it. Actually, yesterday was like the 10-year anniversary of like Scribe's Crusader album, and that was the first thing I was ever featured on. And if you'd asked me like 10 years later if I'd still be making music, I would have been like, no way. So it's been a crazy trip.
They ain't got no muscle, no hustle, no backbone. I stand alone, not tripping. Just saying, I'm different. Ain't hanging on to the coattails of the next man.
Getting Runnin on Madden 25, that basically came about through my American label, Duck Down. They just had a relationship with the people at EA, and it was like real early in the process. So like I think we'd put down like maybe the first verse on the original demo, and I was just sending them stuff, you know, so they could hear how the record was progressing along. And they hit me back straight away, and they're like, "Yo, would you mind if we pitch some of these songs to EA? You know, we think they might be into." And I was like, "Yeah, man, go for it." We got word not long before the single was going to come out that it was going to be the theme song for the Madden trailer. So that was, yeah, it was huge, especially to them because American football just owns America, and so they were just losing their minds over it. I still really like, you know, Indulge Me, I still really like that record. I mean, obviously, you know, I think that was actually the first single that myself and Fire and Ice, who've produced like the majority of this album, you know, that was the first single we worked on. So I think we've gone away in sort of defining, you know, like the David Dallas sound is basically the sound of me and Fire and Ice. Like that's really the whole aesthetic behind it. So that was kind of the starting point of our creative relationship, and since then, you know, I guess we've become even more comfortable with working together, and we've developed this thing that's our own. As far as like the recording of the album, it was just a different process. Like I've never worked in such a condensed time frame before, so it was kind of good. Like it was a new challenge in the sense of like showing people my ideas in their infancy, instead of like, you know, taking a song and like sitting on it for 6 months and then polishing it and, you know, like showing everything in sort of a perfected form. This was kind of, you know, the other people who were contributing to the record basically got to hear my ideas as soon as I had them, as opposed to me like taking them away and thinking about them too much. I'm still enjoying making music, and I'm still trying to make something new, and I'm constantly just trying to make the sort of thing that I want to hear, that I feel like no one else is making.